I think it would be fascinating to look back at car brands that were once part of history but have now disappeared, along with the last car they ever produced. My goal is to find out exactly which model was the last to leave the production line. For some brands like Studebaker, this is possible. But for names like Apollo or Excalibur, I can only identify the model, not the specific car. I will go in chronological order, based on when the brands went bankrupt, were acquired, or ceased operations. The chapters are marked in the description if you want to jump to a specific brand. This video is the first part, and I truly hope you enjoy this little journey, where we look back at the assembly lines that have stopped and the last cars that ever rolled off them. Number 1. 1966 Studebaker Cruiser. If there was a brand that fully reflected the transformation of America from the 19th century to the 20th century, it would be Studebaker. From human-powered horse-drawn carriages, they became one of the pioneering car manufacturers of the American automotive industry. But by 1966, that came to an end, and the last car was a Studebaker Cruiser sedan in Timberline turquoise, rolling out of the factory in Hamilton, Ontario. That cruiser featured a Chevrolet 283 V8 engine, an automatic transmission, and simple fabric upholstery. Nothing special from the outside, but it carried within it an entire chapter of history. Studebaker had to borrow engines from GM due to their inability to develop their own, a clear sign they were in their final stages. Today, that car rests quietly at the Studebaker National Museum. It is not started, not driven, and perhaps, as many believe, it should never be driven again. Because it is not just a car, it is the silent ending of a brand that was once a source of pride for America. Number 2. 1960 Henny Kilowatt. Before Tesla or the Nissan Leaf, there was an electric car created in the late 1950s called the Henny Kilowatt. It was a bold project from Henny Motor Company, which was well known in the military vehicle and ambulance industry. They collaborated with Renault and National Union Electric to create an electric car for urban consumers. Based on the Renault Dauphine chassis, the Henny Kilowatt had a small, cute appearance and was completely emissions-free. The 1960 version upgraded the electrical system to 72 volts, allowing the car to reach speeds of about 60 miles per hour with a similar driving range. The only problem? It was too early. The battery technology wasn't advanced enough, production costs were high, and consumers at the time were not ready for a gasoline-free car. Though only 47 units were sold, the Henny Kilowatt remains a testament to a vision ahead of its time. And when the factory ceased operations in 1960, it not only marked the end of a business venture, but also the early demise of a concept that would take nearly 50 years to truly make a comeback. Number 3. 1964 Apollo 5000 GT. The Apollo 5000 GT was the American dream in the form of an Italian car. Produced by International Motor Cars in California, this sports coupe combined the alluring Italian design from Carrozzeria Intermeccanica with the muscle power of a Buick 5.8 4.9-liter engine, producing about 225 horsepower and a 4-speed manual transmission. The car was lightweight, fast, and had a smooth fastback shape that evoked Ferrari or Maserati designs of the time. Even the interior was finished with Italian leather and handcrafted wood details. Only about 88 Apollos were made, with 40 of them being the 5000 GT. A few of the last ones featured a special fastback design. However, the cost of importing the bodywork from Europe drained the company's finances. By 1964, International Motor Cars declared bankruptcy after producing only about 45,000 GTs. A few unfinished projects were transferred to other companies but were unsuccessful. Today, there is not a single clear photograph left of an Apollo. Number 4. 1975 Bricklin SV-1. In 1974, the Bricklin SV-1 appeared as a sports car. Unlike any other sports car, SV-1 stands for Safety Vehicle 1, the first safety sports car. It sounds contradictory, but that was the ambition of entrepreneur Malcolm Bricklin. The car was equipped with a powerful AMC V8 engine, a body made of fiberglass-reinforced acrylic panels, rust-proof and dent-resistant, but also very prone to cracking. It featured gull-wing doors, minimalist interior, and an integrated roll bar chassis. However, the build quality did not live up to its ambitions. Only about 2,800 SV-1s were produced. Despite financial backing from the Canadian government, rising costs led to the closure of the factory in New Brunswick in less than 2 years. The last car rolled out of the factory in Canada at the end of 1975. Number 5. 1980 International Harvester Scout II. The last Scout II rolled off the production line in Indiana on a morning in October 1980. No orchestra, no ceremony, just a red SUV with brown fabric seats, hand-crank windows, and a surprise under the hood: a Nissan turbo diesel engine. The vehicle featured a 4-speed manual transmission and was one of the rare Scout models not using an American engine. With its sturdy body-on-frame construction, part-time 4-wheel drive, and simple design that was easy to repair, the Scout II became extremely popular among off-road enthusiasts of the time. For those who drove a Scout, it was more than just a vehicle. It was a companion through the mountains and forests, a machine that didn't complain or get bogged down in complexity. It just worked, much like the spirit of post-war American labor. Today, the last Scout rests in a museum. But for many, the image of a Scout covered in mud remains something that brings a smile whenever they remember it. Number 6. 1988 Renault Medallion. Renault is not a foreign name in Europe, but in the US, they were like a guest who never truly integrated. The Medallion, launched in 1987, was Renault's final attempt to make a mark in America. And it did quite well, but arrived too late. The car was equipped with a 2.2-liter 4-cylinder engine, available with either a manual or automatic transmission. Its design was simple, with a practical interior that wasn't flashy, but wasn't bad for the standards of the time. The Medallion came in 2 variants, a 4-door sedan and a 5-door wagon, both highly praised for their spaciousness and fuel efficiency. When Chrysler acquired AMC in 1987, Renault withdrew from the US market. The Medallion was then sold under the Eagle brand, marking Renault's complete departure and the end of a challenging chapter in the American market. No one knows for sure which was the last one, but undoubtedly, the Medallion marked the final punctuation of a difficult story. Number 7. 1989 Merkur Scorpio. In the late 1980s, as Americans began to embrace German cars, Ford decided, "We'll bring in German cars, but rename them to seem fresh." And so, Merkur was born, a brand no one could pronounce correctly, but one that was quite memorable. The Scorpio was the luxury sedan flagship of Merkur. It featured a 2.9-liter V6 engine produced in Cologne, Germany, paired with either a 4-speed automatic transmission or a 5-speed manual. It produced about 144 horsepower, but the car's strength lay in its 4-wheel independent suspension, full-disc brakes, and extremely comfortable interior with leather seats, air conditioning, and a high-end sound system. However, with a price nearly on par with a BMW 5 Series, potential buyers hesitated. Because, despite its German engineering, it was still a Ford with a foreign label. With low sales and high import costs, Merkur ceased operations in 1989. The last Scorpio rolled off the production line quietly. No farewell ceremonies, no honors. But if you've ever driven one, you'd understand. It wasn't bad at all. It just came at the wrong time. Number 8. 1995 Stutz Bearcat II. The Stutz Bearcat II was a car so rare that almost no one ever saw it in real life. The Bearcat II was created between the 1980s and 1990s. Based on the Pontiac Firebird chassis, the Bearcat II took the form of a neoclassical roadster, but inside it hid a Corvette LT 1V8 engine, producing around 300 horsepower and over 460 Nm of torque. The interior was handcrafted with leather, fine woods, and 24-karat gold, truly embodying the spirit of American luxury cars. It sounded enticing, but by the 1990s, tastes had changed. People were now seeking sophistication and performance, not flashy paint or massive chrome grille designs. In 1995, the Stutz brand quietly disappeared from the scene. Only 13 Bearcat IIs were produced between 1987 and 1995. The last one, red, with beige leather interior, resembled more of a fashion machine than a street car. Number 9. 1997 Excalibur. If there was a car that made you feel like you just stepped out of The Great Gatsby, it would be the Excalibur. The Excalibur was born from the vision of a designer who had worked for Studebaker. Based on the Chevrolet Corvette platform and other GM models, the Excalibur blended contemporary technology with a unique vintage style. Excalibur models were often equipped with a 5.0-liter or 5.7-liter V8 engine, premium leather interiors, air conditioning, electric windows, and many handcrafted details. The car featured a tall square grille, separate headlights, and exposed spare tires, evoking the 1928 Mercedes-Benz SSK. Over its 30-plus years of existence, the company produced more than 3,500 cars, mostly in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. By 1997, the brand announced its final versions, some grand limousine and touring sedan models, before shutting down due to its inability to compete in the rapidly changing luxury car market. Number 10. 1998 Eagle Talon. The Eagle Talon was one of the most intriguing underground sports cars of the 90s. However, when people talk about the Eclipse or Supra, the Talon is often forgotten. Based on the DSM, Diamond Star Motors, platform, a joint venture between Chrysler and Mitsubishi, the Talon shared its chassis with the Mitsubishi Eclipse and Plymouth Laser. The final version of the Talon, produced in 1998, came with two engine options. The regular version featured Chrysler's 2.0-liter DOHC engine, while the TSI version was equipped with Mitsubishi's legendary 4G63 turbo engine, producing 210 horsepower and full-time all-wheel drive, one of the most accessible sports cars of its time. The Talon had a sharp, angular look, with a seamless rear end, distinctive taillights, and a prominent rear spoiler, setting it apart from the Eclipse. However, the Eagle brand could not maintain its place within Chrysler's distribution network, and low sales led to the brand's closure in 1998. There were no farewell ceremonies, no banners saying, "Thank you for the ride." It simply ended. A fantastic sports car, forgotten because it wore the wrong brand name. Each car in today's video is not just the final product, but also the end of a dream. Some brands left quietly. Some of the last cars were never remembered by name. But even though they've disappeared from the production line, they live on in the hearts of car enthusiasts, like you and me. Perhaps we love cars not just for their engines, speed, or design, but because they are a part of our memories, untold stories, and entire eras encapsulated in metal and fuel. If you feel the same way, don't forget to leave a comment sharing which car you miss the most. Hit the like button if you think this video was worth it, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the next stories. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.